Hello there, Commonwealth from here. An even more exciting September awaits than the already eventful Gamescom week, and we have great Nintendo Switch 2 and Zelda news to go over that just dropped in the final week of August. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell. Of course, we have to start off with the very good and positive news that Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment will be at Tokyo Game Show. No, not through a Nintendo booth, as Nintendo as usual is not attending Tokyo Game Show with their own published games. And the reason is simple, they have their own Nintendo Live Tokyo the week after, from October 4th to 5th. But Koei Tecmo is there with their games, as Age of Imprisonment is published by them, not Nintendo in Japan, and it has been promised that it will be with a demo. So, first confirmed gameplay, not just trailers, come September 25th. The question though that is very interesting for us that will not be attending Tokyo Game Show is, could we get a livestream like in 2020? Back then, with Age of Calamity, we got a 22-minute long gameplay session with Koei Tecmo. Of course, this was during the years of the pandemic, meaning that no one could attend physically Tokyo Game Show, so they had to host these digital gameplay showcases instead. So there's no guarantee that we're gonna get a live stream similar to this one, but seeing the appeal of the game, maybe we could get something similar. It would definitely be very solid marketing, especially seeing that Treehouse Live had that whole build-up also with their own gameplay showcase before the release. But we have to remember, once again, this was all because of the lack of physical conventions in 2020, so we shouldn't take a gameplay live stream for granted when it comes to Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment during Tokyo Game Show. But yes, so far, the massive marketing campaign that we saw with Age of Calamity, with trailer after trailer after trailer, has not really been there. Yes, we have already had two trailers, the reveal trailer in Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, and then in the partner showcase in July. But since then, there's been very little on Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. We still don't have any release date. Seeing that this is going to be happening starting from September 25th, it begs the question, is the marketing campaign really getting started similarly to what was the case with Age of Calamity, or will it take a little bit longer since it's this winter, not confirmed specifically yet for 2025. In fact, as we'll get to later, it could slip into early 2026. It could be a winter title because it is a 2026, though early 2026 title. We have been stuck with winter now since April 2nd, so it would be nice to get a release date confirmed. Hopefully with a Nintendo Direct now in September, maybe even with its own Treehouse Live before Tokyo Game Show. That would very much be appreciated, but what really matters at the end of the day is the release date. We want to know when we'll actually be able to play this game, and obviously a demo would be also very appreciated, but this is not going to happen until probably a month before the release, as we saw in the case of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, where we got the demo with the partner showcase around a month before the launch of the game, which was November 20th. Obviously that's not going to be the case this year, as we'll soon get back to as well throughout this video. Anyway, we have more Zelda news actually coming out towards the end of this video, but first we have to address the topic of the Nintendo Direct, or September Nintendo Direct, as we have rumors. Switch Force is at it again, this time teasing a general Nintendo Direct instead of just an indie world, and interestingly enough, it's for Friday, September 12th, so after Hollow Knight Silksong's release on September 4th, but the day before Mario's 40th anniversary, which is September 13th. Why September 12th and on Friday and not Thursday? Well, Thursday, unfortunately, is September 11th. We all know what happened on that day and why it wouldn't work with the US. So the other alternatives would have, of course, been going back to Wednesday, which was the normal Nintendo Direct day in the past, so September 10th, but it seems like they might make an exception and do September 12th. And apparently it's supposed to be a general Nintendo Direct, even though it's the day before Mario's 40th anniversary, so are we getting a Mario Direct as well? No confirmation on that yet. VGC though has been backing up a little bit of this claim at least, and that is that a Nintendo Direct, according to them, will take place in the middle of September. What you need to be careful about here though is that they don't specify the date, so they're not supporting September 12th or saying that that is the case. They only further reported on what Switch Force brought up, but not that their source said that it's September 12th, or more importantly, that it is a general presentation. Nathan Haight, who is the most reliable source in 2025 when it comes to key Nintendo Direct leaks, has also remained silent, both when it comes to the claim of Switch Force. For now, this is just a rumor, we have no specific evidence, and as long as Nathan Haight is not saying anything, I'm just gonna treat it as such. After all, we're coming from a Gamescom that gave us a lot of new information, including the reveal of the port of Indiana Jones and the Golden Circle, plus the impressive first Switch 2 gameplay of Final Fantasy VII Remake, footage credits to Nintendaan, but unfortunately also the troublesome handheld gameplay of Elden Ring. Luckily, the games are still some way away from release, they don't have confirmed release dates, so we could see improvements and changes. September, as we all know, marks Mario's 40th anniversary, specifically on September 13th. But it could have already been teased with My Mario, that is something that Nintendo Japan has been promoting as of the upload day, namely a collection of Mario clothing, toys, and interactive experiences, specifically Hello Mario. That is both available on smartphones/tablets, and the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. This is obviously catered towards children, but so far it's the only dedicated new Mario thing for the Nintendo Switch 2, which is quite ironic when you think about it. But there are promotional videos posted by Nintendo Japan promoting it, but what is interesting about this whole thing is that it is not marketed as Super Mario 40th, or even said to be a part of that. Nintendo hasn't even started talking about Super Mario's 40th anniversary. In other words, for now we shouldn't be considering it as the start of the celebrations, as Nintendo is simply not calling it that or recognizing it that yet, at least. It seems that their celebrations are still a little bit way off. Either way, these are all positive steps towards more information and actual reveals when it comes to Mario. Who knows, maybe Mario will provide us something on the Switch 2 for September. Meanwhile, Kirby Air Riders, which is coming out on November 20th, and the big bonus at Gamescom and PAX West, as our own Dan Koopman got to try the high-paced 60 frames per second demo multiple times. Now Masahiro Sakurai has also shared some great news of his own, namely that the Japanese Direct alone has gathered 4 million views in less than a week. Release date of Kirby Air Riders, so after Pokemon Legends ZA on October 16th, which has a very solid demo presence in both August and September, raises a lot of questions regarding the release dates of 2 other releases. Naturally, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. For Hyrule Warriors, we have indications that maybe we get that release date soon, namely Tokyo Game Show, where Koei Tecmo has already guaranteed demo. But Metroid is less certain. Will we finally get a release date through a general or even a dedicated Metroid Direct, which is being rumored? Truth to be told, and I'm gonna say this straight out, only the next few months will tell. Most likely, September should give us an answer, but it goes without telling. After the demos at Gamescom, which were exactly the same as the ones I played, and probably some of you at the pre-launch Switch 2 events, and the same demo is then being featured now at Fan Expo Canada, plus the fact that Prime 4 is not on the confirmed games list for PAX West, it is a little bit of concern. But luckily, Nash Weedle once again with Attack the Backlog came with an update regarding Retro Studios and the situation with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Previously, back in July, Nash Weedle, but also Nintendo, have been confirming again and again that it is coming out in 2025. So, just like Nash Weedle said, it will be in our hands by Christmas 2025. But based on the release order that we have seen, early December 2025 seems to be the most likely release at this point, since September is just too close at this point, unless Nintendo shocks us with a final trailer and then saying, hey, the game is coming out the end of the month. Attack the Backlog and Nash Weedle were also talking about additional Zelda news. As we remember, they talked about an Ocarina of Time remake previously this year, but now we have gotten a little bit more information regarding Zelda. So the news from Nash Weedle is that Zelda, or Nintendo more precisely, are preparing a big blowout for Zelda in 2026. Nash Weedle is saying we're getting information constantly starting from January and then throughout the year. We know the Zelda movie is coming out in 2027, May to be precise, so it's likely that one of those things will be the first teaser for that, just like we saw in the case of the Mario movie. Then we have the games of anniversaries, means that we are gonna get multiple releases. It seems like Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment might be opening it up in January, and then we will be seeing at least 1 or 2 game specific things. In 2019, as we remember, in February we saw the reveal of Link's Awakening, and then we had the reveal, the sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Then in 2021, we had the reveal also in February of Skyward Sword HD, followed up with a bunch of Zelda 35th anniversary celebration, including the Zelda Game & Watch, And then the introduction of the Sky Islands when it came to the sequel to Breath of the Wild, The Future Tears of the Kingdom. I wouldn't be surprised if this is what we are pointing to, a big remake to celebrate the 40th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda in, say, January, February of next year, probably shortly after the launch of Age of Imprisonment, and then get the reveal of a big remake. Maybe even Ocarina of Time, who knows, we know that. And then, of course, the reveal of the next Zelda game, because it will be over 3 years after The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out. So, what are your thoughts about all of these, let's be honest, great Nintendo Switch 2 news, as it points to that we're getting the information that we really want to get in the coming weeks and months? Do you believe them? Share your opinion in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell, and for all notifications. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching until the end, and to all our patreon.com/comearound patrons. Special shoutouts go to Raw Producer, JC Funk, and Heroes, Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf, and Kintaro. You all rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.